Hello everyone, how are you today? I was coming across some other videos on YouTube of people doing Penventories. The one that kind of kickstarted it for me was Cory's Oxy Diaries, and she did a hashtag Penventory, and I know some other YouTubers are doing it as well. So I thought I would come on and do a bit more of an updated fountain pen collection, I guess, for you all. Now, I've sold a lot of pens this year to make room for some others. And this year I was really wanting to focus on gold nib pens. So before this year, I think I'd only had 2 gold nib pens. One was my Pelican M400, which was a gift a couple of years ago. And the other gold nib pen was a Platinum 3776 with a medium nib that I'd had some problems with the materials that the actual pen body was made out of and the section that housed the nib. So I'll talk about that in a while, but we'll jump right in and get started on it. Now, the first fountain pen ever that I ever got was this Lamy Vista. It came with an extra fine nib, and this was the pen that started it all for me. A friend of mine, Leslie, in Texas, in the USA, she was the one who really sort of got me enthusiastic about fountain pens, shall we say. And so this came with an extra fine nib. When I was writing with it, I was explaining to her, I said, oh, it's a bit scratchy, you know, I like it, but it's a bit scratchy. And she said, here, try this fine nib and see how you go with it. And that just changed the whole writing experience for me. I fell in love with using a fountain pen. For the first time in my life, I actually was holding my pen correctly as opposed to a death grip like this. I was actually holding up my pen correctly for the first time in my life. I've had so many teachers over the years at school try and correct my pen grip, and none of them were successful, but this is what did it for me, because it has 3 little sides. It sort of is a resting place for your fingers, so I guess it kind of guides your hand as to how to hold the pen. So that was my first fountain pen. Leslie gave me the fine nib for it, and that's the nib that stayed on it for a very long time. Just recently I've put a broad nib on it that my friend, pen friend Tanya gave me. So I'm enjoying that on that pen at the moment. So also in the Lamy family, I have the Lamy Cozy Cream that has a broad nib on it as well. And then I've got this Lamy LX Marin. It's got a medium nib, as does the All-Star in Petrol as well, that has a medium nib. So that's the first 4 pens that I'll talk to you about. The next ones I'll talk about are my Viscontis. Now, I don't have high-end Viscontis. This is actually my first Visconti I ever got. My husband bought this for me when we were traveling around the States a long time ago, probably about 7 years ago actually. It's a Visconti Rembrandt. It has a medium nib, and I know some people complain about the Visconti nibs. They're a steel nib pen, well, the ones I have anyway. But I've been very lucky with my nibs because both mine, I've also got the Visconti Van Gogh in the novel Reader. It is a beautiful pen. Let's see if I can show you some of the detailing a bit better. It's the nib on it's actually quite small, but beautiful looking pen, and both of them write really well. Both of them have medium nibs and both very juicy writers. So that's my next 2. Where will we go to from there? Oh, okay. Now this was my first ever gold nib pen. This is the Pelican M400. It has a fine nib, and it is a juicy fine nib. Like, this writes like a lot of broad nibs, I would have to say. It's such a beautiful writer, very smooth. It's the right size for me, for my hand. I just really enjoy it, and the nib on it is so pretty. It's a two-tone nib, so that's a gorgeous pen, and it's my only Pelican pen actually, so I'd love more of them, but you know, they tend to be expensive, the Pelicans. So the next three in the lineup are EST Brooks Estes. Now, this was my first EST Brooks Estes in the tortoise. It has a medium nib. Oh, I just, you know, for a steel nib pen, they are quite expensive, I have to say. In Australia, they retail for about $300. So, and that's quite a lot to pay for a steel nib pen, but they just write beautifully. Straight out of the box, there's never an issue. You know, and just, I love the shape of them. I love the weight of them. You can post them, but I don't tend to because I don't need to. But they're just a beautiful, beautiful pen. So that was my first one, the tortoise. And then I got, well, I've actually had a lot of EST Brooks over the years. In fact, I think I've had nearly all of them. I've had the lilac, I've had the blue, I've had the evergreen. What else have I had? I've had the scarlet. I've had the sea glass, and I've sold all of those. So I kind of, I sell them to make room for other pens, because I don't have this endless huge budget to spend on pens. So, you know, sometimes you've got to make room for other things. So this was also a gift. This is the EST Brooks EST in Candy. It is a beautiful pen. I love the body. Mine came with quite a bit of the dark blue, which was nice, and it has quite a bit of variation between the white and the bright pink. It's got sort of like a sparkle to it as well. Beautiful pen. That's actually a medium nib as well. But this is the one that I got for my Penventory, or YouTube first year anniversary. I bought this for myself. This is the EST Brooks EST in Rainforest, and I got a broad nib on this, and it is so juicy and beautiful to write with. So I just did my currently inked for October a couple of weeks ago, and then just recently I did an update on that, and this was one that I added to the lineup with a different ink. So originally I had Troublemaker Kelp Tea in it, which was lovely, but I felt like the pen itself needed a bit of a punchier ink, so I actually put Kano Oto Kokiro in it. So they're the next three beautiful pens. I know this isn't supposed to be about inky talk, it's just supposed to be about pens, isn't it? So next we have Sailors. So I have 5 Sailors. So this was my first Sailor. This is the Sailor Pro Gear Slim in Dragon Palace. Has a medium fine nib. I absolutely love this little pen. I love the weight of them. For me, yeah, they are, I guess, on the smaller side of things, but for me, they're a good size for my hand. I really enjoy them. So that was the first one that I got with a medium fine nib. And then the next one I got was this one, I think, yeah. The Princess Kaguya. It's from the same series as the Dragon Palace. It's also got a medium fine nib, and it's like a reddy sort of bright pink, and they've got gold flecks through them. Really pretty. This is one that I got earlier in the year, but I have had my eye on for quite a while. So when this blue-green nebula first came out, this is also a Pro Gear Slim. This one's got a medium nib on it. When these first came out, we had some financial goals that we had set for ourselves. So it didn't make sense to spend all that money on a fountain pen. So at the time, I had to leave it. Even though I loved the look of it and really wanted it, and it was a limited edition, I thought, oh, I just can't justify it right now. So I was actually really pleased to have found this pen with Bookbinder's Design here in Australia, and they still had one, and they had it with a medium nib, so I got that one this year. And then the next one is this, I think they call it a Sailor Prophet. It's a very inexpensive little pen. It actually has the Fude nib on it. So it's just got like a slight upturned end on it. I don't use this a lot, but I love playing with it and I love writing with it. So you can actually get different angles and different line thicknesses with a Fude nib. So that's been fun to play with. And then there's this one. This is the Sailor 1911 Standard. I got this with a broad nib, and it's a beautiful looking pen. I love that sort of cigar shape, I guess you'd call. So it is, I love that. But I have to say, being a broad nib, I expected it to write a little bit thicker than what my medium nib did on the Sailor Pro Gear Slim, and it doesn't. I'd actually say it writes more like a fine or a medium fine than it does a broad, and I'm not sure why. I keep checking the nib to make sure it is a broad, and it is indeed a broad nib, but it just doesn't write like a broad nib. And I know the Japanese nibs run a lot finer than the European nibs, but even still, it is still writing far too fine for my liking. So I need to play around with a little bit more and see if I can get the ink flowing a little bit better perhaps, or do some nib work on it. Anyway, we'll see. So that's the next 5. From there, we might go into some pilots. So I've got 3 pilot fountain pens. I've also had a Metropolitan over the years as well, but got rid of that this year too. So the first one is this little Pilot E95S. It is a pocket pen with a hooded nib. I really love it. It's a lightweight pen. It's beautiful to write with. The medium nib on this is so juicy. Like, it really, if I'm writing, I actually get shading in the writing, in your ink and things like that. So if you like shading, this pen is, and it's a soft nib too. So it just, I don't know, it's just a pleasure to write with. Beautiful. The next one is this Pilot Decimo in Champagne Pink. It has a medium nib on it as well. Also beautiful to write with. Now, originally, I was given a Pilot Vanishing Point in matte black last year for my birthday, and I loved it. I don't mind. I don't mind where the clip is. I find that actually helps me hold my pen the right way. So I don't mind that. For some people, they don't like it and they get annoyed with it. But for me, I enjoyed it. But I just found the Pilot Vanishing Point a little bit heavy, and so I ended up giving that to my husband, and he enjoys using that, and I got this one to replace it. So this is the Pilot Decimo in Champagne Pink with a medium nib. And then the other little pilot pen I have is this Pilot Kokuno. Now this is a great little pen. I think here in Australia they retail for about $21, $22 without a converter, and mine is with a medium nib, and it writes so well. It is such a lovely little writer for such an inexpensive pen. It's just been a joy to use, and I just keep inking up. I use the cartridge in it, and I just keep inking up, like washing it out once I've finished with it and refilling it with syringe filling it with an ink of my choice. So at the moment I think I've got just Pilot Namiki black in it, just for everyday sort of writing and use. Now, where will we go to from here? So the next 2 pens I have in my collection is the Koo Sports. One's the Koo Collection in dark olive. The other one is the white. Both, actually the Koo Sport in white has a fine nib, and the Koo Collection dark olive has a medium nib. Lovely little pens to use. They're a pocket style pen. They come in lots of different colorways, which is fun. So it sort of turns into more of a full-size pen when you cap it. So, or post it. I think you call it posting it. So, but yeah. So they're the next two little pens. Next two I have in my collection, they're bespoke pens from and handmade pens from pen turners. So this one is River City Pen Company in the USA. It is my black, green, gold pen. I got this as a gift one year for Christmas, and it's just beautiful to write with. Has a medium nib, and this one I actually bought secondhand. I bought it off another pen enthusiast off Facebook. It is a Franklin Christoph Model 45. It's a pocket style pen, and you can post it. It has a medium nib on it, and you can actually fill this whole barrel. I don't think I've got ink. I haven't got ink in here at the moment. You can actually eyedropper fill this whole barrel of ink, and you just put silicone grease around the threads. So that's a lovely, I actually really enjoy that pen. It's a good size, it's lightweight, very nice. So they're the next two. Then while we're talking about bespoke pens, this is my Just Turnings family. So I've got 5 different pens here, and I'll explain them. So the first one I got is an oil slick material. This is from Stephen of Just Turnings up in Queensland. It is a matte finish, diamond cast body, beautiful pen. It's just gorgeous. Everyone needs a bit of rainbow in their life, and this is just such a lovely pen. I've got mine with a medium nib, so I loved that one so much that then for Christmas last year, husband and children bought me this one. It is called Unicorn Horn. It also has a medium nib. It's such a beautiful pen to write with. These ones don't post, but you don't need to post them because they're quite they're sort of the same length, I guess, as the Kuwaikos when you would post them. So that's the next one. Now, he very kindly gifted me this pen earlier in the year. Now, this is a pen, as you can see, there's no nib on it. That's okay. I'll show you. So what you do is, this is actually, he calls these BYOPs, Brighten Your Own Pen. So this body actually fits onto a Pro Gear Slim nib unit. See? So it's a gorgeous little body pen. Mine's in red, gold and white. Perfect for the upcoming Christmas season, I think. But just a beautiful, beautiful little body, and it does indeed brighten your own pen. It's just so fun. So you just put this back on. So very interchangeable, a fun way to sort of, I guess, have a different look for a pen but get the same experience of that nib that you might like. So that's the next one. Now this one I actually asked him to make for my Platinum 3776 medium nib. Now this is the pen. It was a Nice Lavender, and I had problems with it from the very beginning. Like, you'll notice there's sort of almost like some rust issues on the pen, and you can't see it, but the whole nib section was actually, it had flaws in it. So I guess at the time I just fell in love with the nib, so I didn't want to return it. It was also the last one, and so I knew that the place that I'd bought it from wouldn't be able to replace it for me unless I sent it across to Platinum overseas, and I didn't want to do that. So anyway, over time, the nib section, this bit here, just kept cracking to the point that it was completely unusable, because every time I went to use it, I just ended up with ink all on my fingers from it just leaking. So I asked, because I loved the nib so much, and I thought, you know what, I just want to give this nib a new lease on life. I asked him to make me a custom section for the nib, which he does, and then I got to pick the material. So as you can see, beautiful little platinum nib. It's in rose gold. It's a medium. And then this is the material that I got my mate. It's a custom copper line material, and I like the way that it just sort of has that pale green, almost like that copper patina. You know how copper gets that natural patina over time? So that's what this pen reminds me of. It's beautiful. Really love it. And then Stephen and Michelle have just turned very kindly, when they were sending me this pen, they've started pouring their own blanks, and they very kindly gifted me this pen, which is the Mimus model, and it's got lots of ink. Hang on. Okay. It's the Mimus model. It's got a fine nib, and just the material it's made out of is beautiful. It's like an electric blue, bright sort of fuchsia pink, and then this almost like, here in Australia we call them lemonade icy poles. I guess for those of you overseas you call them popsicles. So I call this my summer popsicle pen, because that's what it kind of reminds me of. Actually, a friend, Tanya, pointed that out to me. She said it's like a popsicle. So that's what I call it, my summer popsicle pen, but it's a beautiful pen. So that's the next slide. I'll put that with that. Now, next ones we'll get into are my TWSBI family. So I have five TWSBI Ecos. This one has a stub nib, this one has a juicy broad nib, medium nib, juicy broad nib, and another medium nib. This was the one they brought out just before Christmas last year. It's called I think it's called Royal Jade and Rose Gold. It was a limited edition. They've just recently brought out another one, what they call it, Indigo and Bronze. So they're my five TWSBI Ecos. I love the TWSBI Eco. They're such a great pen. I love my broads. I actually prefer them. I think out of all the TWSBI nibs, I prefer a broad nib. This was the first TWSBI I ever got. This was a gift many, many years ago from my husband and kids. And it always, well, it came with a fine nib. I'd always kept the fine nib on it, and it wrote beautifully. But recently I just bought another nib unit for it and put a broad on here. And at the moment I've got Pelican Edelstein's Ink of the Year Rose Quartz in there, and it's just writing beautifully. So that's the next one. I've actually got two more TWSBI Diamond 580s in the Smoke Rose Gold and White Rose Gold. And then I've got the TWSBI Diamond Mini, which I'll have to say I don't use a great deal. Mine's got a lot of staining around the section. I have to look at sort of getting rid of that. I haven't been able to. So, but it still writes really well. That has a medium nib on it. And I've had a lot more TWSBIs over the years too, but gradually I've sold them off as I haven't been reaching for them or what have you. The next pen brand I'm going to talk about is Jinhao. So I've got three different Jinhaos here. This one is the Jinhao X750 with a medium nib. It's a steel metal pen, like steel bodied pen. It's quite a heavy pen, but still not, if you don't put the cap on it, if you don't post it, it's okay. If you post it, it ends up being quite heavy for me. But it's actually quite an inexpensive little pen. I bought them in a set of 4, I think, 4 or 5. and I've actually sold some of them and gifted the others away. So I've just kept the purple one for now. This one is a Jayne Century 100. I think they call it rainbow celluloid. It's not a celluloid material, but they call it rainbow celluloid. Has a very juicy medium nib on it, which is a pleasure to write with. So that's also another inexpensive pen that writes very well. And you've all seen these. These are the Jayne 82s. You can pick these up for less than $15, and they are the Sailor Pro Gear Slim knockoff. So I know some people have some very strong feelings about you know, other pen makers ripping off other brands, but I have to say, I guess I like the look of the Sailor Pro Gear Slim. But this I'm not going to worry about throwing in my handbag and taking with me, or if it gets ruined, or if I lose it. So I tend to take this one out with me a lot more because I'm just not worried about it. And it also means if someone was curious about fountain pens, I know Claire from the Ginger Ninja has done this a number of times, and I've gifted a lot of fountain pens over the years as well. I don't mind giving something like this away because it hasn't cost me a great deal of money. I know it writes well, and it just it pen enables someone else, shall we say. So it's, but they're great little pens, good little writers. So the next ones that I'm going to talk about is Wing Sung. So this is a little Wing Sung, I can't remember what model it is. It actually comes built in with its own piston filling system. So I bought these in a pack of 4 or 5 as well, and they were so cheap. So I think each pen worked out to be less than $7 Australian, which is unbelievably cheap. I think the pink one that I'd kept, it eventually broke, like the piston inside it broke, but I've still got the blue one. And then this one is one that I had problems with when it first arrived. It is the Wing Sung 699. It is a dupe for the Pilot Custom 823. I do not have the Pilot Custom 823. I would like one day, but you know, that will probably be much later down the track. So this has a medium nib on it. It is a vac filler, so you undo this button here and you pull it up to draw the ink in, and you also open this to actually let the ink flow down to the nib section to write as well. So when I first got this, I bought it off Amazon. It did not write. I flushed it several times. It still wasn't inked it up. It still wasn't writing properly. So then I did some, I put it in my drawer. I was going to return it, and then I forgot to return it. So when I was cleaning up my drawers the other day, I came across it in its box and realised I hadn't returned it. And I thought, you know what? It's too late to return it now. I might as well just play with it and see if I can get it working. And so I got the metal. I've got like some micro mesh, so I did micro mesh work on it, and then I got a shim and put it through the middle of the nib, and played with it a little bit that way, and magically I got it to work, and now it's writing beautifully. Like I'm so pleased with it, and so glad that I did actually persist with it and get it working. So that's the next one. And then we've got some random ones here. These are the last 3. This is a Pilot, Monteverde Ritma. It has a 1.5 stub nib on it. It has magnetic closure too, you might be able to hear that. It is a very, very heavy pen. I actually won this in a giveaway, and I was so excited. I was so excited to use it, and I like the fact that it's got the 1.5 stub nib on it, but I find it's fine for short writing sessions, but for long writing sessions it just gets too heavy in my hand. So, but wonderful for people that like bigger, heavier pens and who perhaps have bigger hands than mine. So that's the next one we've got. This was also one that I won in a giveaway, and it's by Ferriswheel Press. It's a carousel pen. Mine is in a medium nib, and this writes so well. Like, I was really pleasantly surprised how well this little pen wrote. It's very light. You can post it as well. So, but this is probably another one similar to the Jinhao 82 that I would be okay about throwing in my handbag and taking with me somewhere. Like, I wouldn't be precious about it. So, and it writes really well. It seems to handle shimmer inks very well, which is good. Some of you may be aware that Ferriswheel Press have a lot of beautiful shimmer inks that they bring out. So their pens handle those very well. And lastly but not least is this Traveller's Company Brass Pocket Fountain Pen. I've had my eye on these for years, absolute years. And so it's a new pen for me. It posts, it has a fine nib, and at the moment I've just got a Private Reserve blue suede cartridge in it. That's working quite well in it, but it's a lovely little pen. Yes, it's heavy, but being a pocket pen, it's just that little bit smaller, and it's very, very sturdy, like very durable. I have no problems putting this. I'm not worried about damaging this pen, and over time it will get a natural patina on it as well, which doesn't bother me. I kind of like that sort of thing. So that's my last pen. So how many pens have we actually got here now? Let's count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. So 45 pens, but bearing in mind these two don't have nibs. Well, this one's probably completely useless now, and I don't really use it, but I just keep it. And this one is just the pen body, it's not the nib unit. So I don't know if you can actually include that in my numbers. Maybe I've only got 43 pens, because this is actually one pen body, but I can put other nibs on it. So 43 pens, let's just call it as 43 pens. That is my updated ink collection, or Penventory, shall we say. I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope you found it helpful. I guess over time too, like, I've been in this hobby now for over 8 years, and over time my pen tastes have changed, my nib preferences have changed. Originally I started out with, you know, the extra fine and the fines, and you know, I couldn't even imagine writing with anything more than that. And then slowly over time, my sweet spot is sort of a medium nib, but then I like juicy broad nibs as well. I do have some stub nibs and I don't mind them, but I sort of prefer that juicy broad, that medium nib. That seems to be my sweet spot and where I'm most comfortable writing. But yeah, so let me know if you have any questions down below. Do you have any of these pens? How do you find them? What's your favourite pen to write with? Put it all down in the comments below. I'd love to hear that. And thank you so much for watching this. Thank you to Cory's Oxy Diaries for starting the Penventory tag, and I will put a link to her account below just so you can go and check her out. Thank you to everyone who has watched, everyone who subscribes, everyone who gives me a thumbs up. It all helps, and it keeps me on here doing more videos. So take care everyone, have a good day, and see you back here next time. Bye.